Yes, we are back. Let's look at what we have in here with Elizabeth. Elizabeth invested money 4 years ago at 10.5% per year simple interest. If this investment earned a total of 3,612 interest, what amount did Elizabeth invest? So now, let's see. Principal amount, interest, and interest. The interest, which is the rate. Do we have a principal amount? Elizabeth invested money, so that means we don't have the money. You want to know the money? The interest rate, it's 10.5%. For how long? N will be 4. And then how much did Elizabeth get? Elizabeth got 3,612. So now let's try to solve it. Principal amount, we don't have a principal amount. The interest rate is 10.5%. And then the number of years, we have 4 years. And then the total interest earned, it's 3,612. So now let's see, do you still remember the formula? The formula is interest is equals to principal amount multiplied by the rate multiplied by n. So now interest, we have 3,612. Principal amount, we don't have a principal amount, so we leave it as P, multiplied by the interest, or the rate, interest rate, which is 10.5 over 100. 10.5 over 100 is going to give us 0.105. And then we put it there, interest is going to be 0.105. And then we multiply it with n, which is 4. So now let's see, we have 3,612 is equals to P, let's just say multiplied by, and let's multiply the numbers. Let me trying to get the light. 0.105 multiplied by 4. We're getting 0.42, so it's going to be 0.42. So it's 3,612 is equals to 0.42 P. So now remember, we're looking for the P, which is the principal amount. So now we're going to divide by 0.42 on both sides. So we have 3,612, we divide it by 0.42, and then 0.42p, we divide it by 0.42. And then our p, let's see how much p will be. 3,612 divided by 0.42, it gives us 8,600. So it simply means that Elizabeth will invest 8,600. Elizabeth will invest 8,600. That's going to be our last question for simple interest. Now we move to compound interest. What is compound interest? When you earn compound interest, the interest is added to the principal and the sum becomes the new principal for the next interest period. Interest can be added more than once a year, e.g. half yearly or monthly. In this case, the interest rate would be divided by the number of times the interest is calculated in a year. Let's quickly look at this table. I want you to look at this table. Compound interest, I just gave an example there so that we see what happens to the percentage and what happens to the number of years. The example here we have money, and this money is invested at a rate of 8% for 3 years. So 8%, as we know, it's 8 divided by 100, which is the same as 0.08. So if we invest this amount of money per annum or per year, our interest will stay as 8% and our number of years will stay as 3 years. And then you'll find in some questions, you'll be instructed to calculate your interest half yearly, semi-annually, or every 6 months. So now half yearly, that means the first half of the year, the second half of the year. Semi-annual, it means the same. Every 6 months, in 1 year, you have only 2 6 months. So now what happens there? Your interest, you divide it by 2, and the number of years, you multiply by 2. So the number of years that you're going to have there is going to be 6 years. And then we come to the next one. If the instruction says you must do it quarterly, that means your interest, you're going to divide it by 4, and then your number of years, you're going to multiply by 4. If it's monthly, in 1 year, we have 12 months. Our interest is going to be divided by 12, and then our number of years is going to be multiplied by 12, which is going to give us 36. We come to weekly. We have 52 weeks in 1 year. So our interest will be divided by 52, and then the number of years will be multiplied by 52. And then daily, our interest will be divided by 365, and then our number of years will be multiplied by 365. So now the question may be, why are we dividing the percentage and why are we multiplying the number of years? Let's quickly just look at that. Remember, you will be told that it will be 8% per annum compounded, let's say, monthly. What does it mean? It means that in 1 year, you're going to get 8%. But they say that this 8%, it's compounded monthly. In 1 year, you only get 8%. 8% only for each year of your investment. Each year of investment. But now remember, this 8% is compounded monthly. Meaning, this 8% of ours, we're going to get part of 8%, part first month, second month, third, fourth, fifth, 6th, 7th, 8th, 9th, 10th, 11th, and 12th. At the end of the 12 months, when we add those interest for the whole year, they must give us 8%, which is 8% for the whole year. So now this 8%, we divide it by 12. So now let's see. It's 8%, so 8% is the same as 8 divided by 100, and then it's going to give us 0,08. That 0,08, you divide it by 12. When you divide it by 12, it means that each and every month, on the calculator it says 6,66667 multiplied by 10 to the power of negative 3. So now let's see. I want to change it from scientific. So I want to show you how I do it. I'm not going to write all of those. And then it's multiplied by 10 to the power of negative 3. As you can see that our comma is standing in front of 6. It must move to the left 3 times. So now let's move 3 times. It's going to be 0, it moved once. We move it the second time. It's going to be 0,0666. We move it the last time, which will be the third time. It's going to be 0,00666. So our comma was there in front of 6. It moved 1, 2, 3 times to the left. So now that means that for the first month, you're going to get that 0,00666. Let's put it like that. Second month, you're also going to get 0,00666. The third month, you get the same amount, the same percentage. Remember, it's the 8% divided by the 12 months. Where is the 12? It's compounded monthly. We know that monthly it's 12. We have 12 months. So now we took our 8%. Now we've compounded it monthly. And then at the end of the year, it's going to give us 8%. Let's take the very same 8%. The instructions say 8% per annum compounded quarterly. So now again, the 8%, remember, the 8%, let's just go back a bit to see what we said is happening there. Our 8% in our formula which is P1 plus interest to the power of n. So what we do, we divide our interest by 4 because it's quarterly, and then we multiply our n by 4. So let's see now. What I've been saying is that because we said 8% per annum compounded quarterly, we know that in a quarter, that means each 1 year has 4 quarters. So now that means this 8%, we're going to divide it by 4, and then the number of years we're going to multiply by 4. Why do we multiply? I explained why we divide, because this interest, we're not going to get 8% every month. We're going to get part of 8% every month. Why do we multiply then by 12? Because now we say 2 years and then we multiply it by 12. Because now we are saying that the number of years is 2 years and then times 12. And then from there we're going to get 24. Remember that in 1 year, that means you're going to get this interest 12 times. Every month you'll be getting 0,00666%. The second month again. So that means for 1 year, you'll be getting the interest for 12 months. For the second year, you'll be getting it for 12 months. So at the end, you would have got that interest for 24 months. So now, same as here, interest, your 8%, you're going to divide it by 4. And then that means for each and every quarter, I'm just going to do it the way it is. Let me 0,08, and then we divide it by 4. How much do we get? 0,08 divided by 4. We get 0,02. So that means you're going to get the 0,02 4 times. And then from there, if it's 2 years, you're just going to say 2 multiplied by 4, and then it's going to be 8. So now, remember, each year you're going to get this interest, 0,02%, 4 times a year. So in 2 years, you'll get the interest 8 times. That's why we divide the interest by 4, and then we multiply the number of years by 4. Let's move to our first question. I hope each and every person understood that. Abigail is saving for an overseas trip. She invests an inheritance of 20,500 for 3 years at 9% per annum, compound interest, compounded half yearly. Calculate the interest at the end of the year. Use the formula A is equals to P bracket 1 plus I to the power of N. We all know P stands for principal amount, I stands for the interest rate, and then N stands for the number of years. So now let's look at what's important here. She invested 20,000, take out 20,500, which is our P. And then what is our I? Let's look for I. Our I is 9%, 9%, which is the same as 0,09. Per annum, compound interest, compounded half yearly. So now, the number of years, 3, N will be 3. So now, compounded half yearly, that means something must be divided by 2 because it's half yearly, and then something must be multiplied by 2. What must be divided? Our interest, 0,09, must be divided by 2. And then our N, 3, must be multiplied by 2. Remember, we are going to get that interest 6 times because it's 2 times for each year. And then let's see. Let's solve this. Principal amount, we have 20,500. Our interest is 9%, which is 0,09. And then our 0,09, we divide it by 2. 0,09 divided by 2. And then it gives us 0,045. And then our N is 6. So now, let's substitute P, is equals to P 1 plus I to the power of N. So A will be equals to 20,500 bracket 1 plus, already we've simplified that. So it's going to be 0,045 bracket to the power of 6. So So let's calculate that. 20,500 bracket 1 plus 0,045 close bracket to the power of 6. 26,696 rand 33256. So we're going to round it to 2 decimal places. It's going to be 26,696 rand 33 cents. So let's write that down. It's going to be 26,696 rand 33 cents. So that's how much she's going to have after that time. Let's go back to the question. Abigail is saving for an overseas trip. She invests her inheritance of 20,500 for 3 years at 9% per annum compound interest, compounded half yearly. Calculate the interest at the end of the year. So now can you see, I did not read the instructions. Already I've lost marks for number A because I've jumped to number B. So now we have to go back, and you must remember that it's not always that you'll see that you've jumped a question. So don't be like me, be careful and read instructions. This one will be our number B. Let's go back to number A. Number A, they say you must calculate the interest at the end of the year. So that means the first year. So let's calculate that. Already we know that we have 20,500. And then from there, it's 1 plus the interest. Remember, we're only concentrating on 1 year now. So now the interest, it's 9%. And then that 9% we divide it by 2. So now it's going to stay like that, 0,045. And then the instruction said for 1 year, so it's going to be 1 multiplied by 2. Because it's only 1 year, so we're going to get the money only 2 times. And then from there, let's calculate that. 20,500 bracket 1 plus 0,045 close bracket to the power of 2. We have there 22,386 rand, 5125. 2 decimal places is going to be 22,386 rand, 51 cents. So let's write that down. 22,386 rand, 51 cents. So now we've answered A as well as B. Let's move to our next question. Find the final amount and the interest if 8,950 is invested for 6 years at 9% compound interest per annum. Find the final amount and the interest if 8,950 is invested for 6 years at 9% compound interest per annum. So now this one is straightforward. It's not compounded yearly or anything, quarterly or monthly or anything. It's just compound interest per annum. So now let's see what we have there. We have our P, principal amount, which is 8,950. What else do we have? We have the N, which is 6 years. Then we have our I, which is 9%, and it's compound interest per annum. So now the only thing that we can do is just change our percentage to 0.09. The only thing that we'll be doing there is changing our percentage to 0.09. So again, remember A is equals to principal amount 1 plus I to the power of N. What do we have here? We have 8,950 bracket 1 plus, what is our interest? 0.09 bracket to the power of 6. Let's calculate that. $8,950 bracket 1 plus 0.09, close the bracket, to the power of 6. What do we get there? 15,010 rand. 15,010 rand and 5 cents. If you saw correctly here, it's 15,010 rand and 0.04599 to 2 decimal places is going to be 15,010 rand, 5 cents. Let's go back. Find the final amount and the interest. So now 15,010 rand will be the final amount. So final amount is 15,000. Final amount will be this 15,010 rand, 5 cents. And then the next question says, find the interest. At the end, we had this amount. How much did we invest? We invested 8,950. So now, how much is our interest? We're going to say 15,010 rand, 5 cents, minus 8,950. And then it gives us 6,060 rand, 5 cents. So let's write it down. It's 6,060 rand, 5 cents. So the interest is 6,060 rand, 5 cents. Let's move to our next question actually. Boniswa invested 10,500 for 2 years at 9% compound interest, compounded quarterly. Boniswa invested 10,500 for 2 years at 9% compounded interest, compounded quarterly. So let's see what we have there. She invested 10,000, meaning we have our principal amount, which is 10,500. For 2 years, we have our N, which is 2. At 9%, we have our interest rate, which is 9%. Compound interest, compounded quarterly. So if it's compounded quarterly, that means something must be divided by 4, something must be multiplied by 4. Let's just say divide, multiply by 4. So let's try to solve this. What do we have? Principal amount 10,500. The number of years, it's 2 years. The interest, it's 9%. And everything must be compounded quarterly. So now let's see. Let's just bring down this one. 500. And then N, we know that 2 must be multiplied by 4 because it's compounded quarterly. And then we have our I, which is 0,09. And then we take this 0,09, we divide it by 4. It must be divided by 4. Let's see how much we get. 0,09 divide by 4. It gives us 0,0225. So now, there we have everything that we need. Principal amount 1 plus I to the power of N. What is the principal amount? It's 10,500. 1 plus, what is the interest? 0,0225. The number of years we have 8 years. You can just say is equals to 8 there. We have then 8 years. Let's see how much we're going to get there. 10,500 bracket 1 plus 0,0225. You close your bracket to the power of 8. 12,545,72699. So to 2 decimal places is going to be 12,545 rand 73 cents. Let's write that down. Our answer is going to be 12,545,73 cents. Let's go back to the question and see whether we did the correct one. Boniswa invested 10,500 for 2 years at 9% compound interest, compounded quarterly. So now remember the instruction said, find the final amount and the interest. The final amount and the interest. So in this case, our final amount is 12,545 rand 73 cents. And then what is the interest? The interest will be 12,545,73 minus 10,500, and then it will be 12,545 rand 73 cents minus 10,500, 2,045 rand 73 cents. So let's write that down. Our interest will be 2,045 rand 73 cents. Let's go to our next question. Ahmad's dad deposited 400 in a bank towards his studies. The money earned 10% per annum, compounded annually. They will need the money in 9 years' time. After 3 years, the interest rate increased to 11.5%. Calculate the total value of the investment at the end of 3 years. So now let's look at this again. Ahmad's dad deposited 400 in a bank towards his studies. The money earned 10% per annum, compounded annually. They will need the money in 9 years' time. After 3 years, the interest rate is increased to 11.5%. What do we have here? We have the principal amount, which is 400. What else do we have? We have our interest, which is 10%. What else do we have? It's compounded annually, so nothing is going to change. They will need the money after 9 years. And then after 3 years, the interest rate increased to 11.5%. What it simply means is that for the first 3 years, we're going to use 10%. So now the information that we have there is that the principal amount will be 400, the interest rate will be 10%, and then our N will be 3. And then after that, after 3 years, what do we have after 3 years? We are going to have P is going to be new. Remember, it's the amount that we'll be having after the 3 years. And then the interest rate there is going to be 11.5%. What else do we have? N. What will the N be? Remember, this investment is for 9 years. So already the money was in the bank for 6 years, for 3 years. So that means we are left with 6 years. So the new N is going to be 6 years. Ahmad's dad deposited 400 in a bank towards his studies. The money earned 10% per annum, compounded annually. They will need the money in 9 years' time. After 3 years, the interest rate increased to 11.5%. Calculate the total value of the investment at the end of 3 years. So now we're only looking at 3 years. I hope you wrote your information down. Principal amount, it's 400. The interest there, it's 10%. And the number of years there, we have 3 years. So now let's see. It's going to be our P1 plus interest to the power of n. So interest is 10 over 100, which is 0.1. So we have 401 plus 0.1 to the power of 3. Let's see how much we're going to have there. We're going to have 400 bracket 1 plus 0.1 close bracket to the power of 3. The money that we'll have after 3 years will be 532 rand 40 cents. So let's write it down. We're going to have 532 rand 40 cents. So now remember, 532 rand 50 cents will be our new P, principal amount. So now we come to our second part of the question. P1 plus interest to the power of n. So now remember, we are done with this part. Now we are doing this part. What is our P? P is the new amount, which is 532 rand 40 cents. What is our I? There is our I. Our I is 11.5%, which is the same as I'm just going to work it out already. 0.115, and then we have our n. Those are the number of years that are left. We have 6. So let's substitute. We're going to have 532 rand 40 bracket 1 plus 0.115 to the power of 6. Let's calculate that now. £532.40 bracket 1 plus 0.115 close bracket to the power of 6, and then it gives us 1023 rand, 0273, which will be 1023 rand, 3 cents. So now let's write it down. At the end of the 9 years, they'll be having 1023 rand and 3 cents. Is that enough to go to school? You should look at other options of investing. Let's look at the other question, next questions. This amount is invested for the remaining of the period at the higher rate. Calculate the amount available for Ahmad's study. We already calculated with the instruction given up there. Let me just look at this. Let's go back. Calculate the total value of the investment at the end of 3 years. There it ends. Let's go a bit back. This will be A. After 3 years, we'll be having 532 rand 40 cents, which will be our new amount. And then the next question, number B. It's saying this amount is invested for the remaining. The amount that's invested for the remaining, it's 532 rand 40 cents. For the remaining of the period at the higher rate which is 11.5%. Calculate the amount available for Ahmad's studies. So Ahmad's studies, he will have 1023 rand and 3 cents. Let's move to our next question. Prati invests 1,500 to save for a holiday in 2 years' time. She has the following 2 options. Option A, 10% per annum, compounded monthly, and then B, 10% per annum, compound semi-annually. Lotus is investing 1,500 to save for a holiday in 2 years' time. She has the following two options. So now let's just write what you have in option A and what you have in option B. Big A, what we have in option A, the principal amount there, it's 1,500. The interest there, it's how much? It's 10%. And then the N, number of years to save holiday in 2 years, so our N is going to be 2. She has the following options. The first option, which is A, principal amount, will be 1,500. The interest will be 10%, number of years. And then for option A, it's compounded monthly. So when it's compounded monthly, that means something must be divided by 12 and something must be multiplied by 12. And then down there, I'm just going to write my option B. Option B, principal amount is going to be the same, 1,500. And then the interest, it's also 10%. And then the number of years, it's also 2 years. And then in option 2, it's compounded semi-annually. Semi-annually means that something must be divided by 2 and something must be multiplied by 2. So now let's try to solve these two. Let's look at number A. As we said, it's compounded monthly, so that means something must be divided by 12, something must be multiplied by 12. So let's start with our I first. It's 10%. So 10% is the same as 0,1. And then as we know, our percent must be divided by 12. So we're going to say 0,1 divided by 12. Let me leave this like this for a change. I'm going to substitute it just like that as a fraction. And then let's look at the second one. Our N2 must be multiplied by 12. And then we're going to have 24. So let's see. It's principal amount. Sorry for that. Principal amount 1 plus interest to the power of n. Principal amount is 1,500 bracket 1 plus the interest, we left it as a fraction, over 12, 0,1 over 12, all to the power of 24. So let's calculate that to see how much we're getting. 1,500 bracket 1 plus fraction 0,1 divided by 12, close your bracket, to the power of 24. How much did you get? I got 1,830,586,442. So to 2 decimal places is going to be 1,830 rand 59 cents. So that's what you'll be getting for 1,500 for 2 years compounded monthly. And then we come to the second one. The second one, the same amount was invested, 1,500, at the same interest, which is 10% interest, same number of years, which is 2 years. The only difference is this one was compounded semi-annually. So semi-annually, let's go back. 10% is the same as 0,1, and we know that our percentage must be divided by 2, so it's going to be 0,1 divided by 2. Again, I'm going to leave it like that. And then our n, it's 2, it must be multiplied by 2. So now let's substitute 1,500, 1 plus 0,1 divided by 2 to the power of 2 multiplied by 2. I want you to remember. That's why some of them I leave them like this, so that you remember where you got those numbers from. This one also I leave it like that. So if you write it the way I did, the others will remind you why there we have 24, and also it's there. I wrote it down for you where it comes from. And then here also I left it as 2 multiplied by 2, so that if you forgot, you can remember what's supposed to happen there. So we have 1,500 bracket 1 plus fraction 0,1 divided by 2, close your bracket, to the power of 2 multiplied by 2. There you're going to get 1,823 rand 259375. To 2 decimal places is going to be 23 cents. So now let's go back to the question. Kloti invest 1,500 to save for holiday in 2 years' time. She has the following 2 options. There you have option 1 and option 2. And then let's see. Calculate the amount available after 2 years according to option A. There we have our option A is going to be 1,830,59 cents. Calculate the amount available after 2 years according to option B. We're going to have 1,823 rand 23 cents. Which of the 2 options will Klotliso prefer? Explain your answer. So now, if you look at these 2, the first one, it's 1,830. The second one, it's 1,823. So now, remember here, each and every person must give their own opinion. The one that I'll be giving will be mine. You'll give your own opinion. In my opinion, he will settle for option A. Option A, if you look at option A it's 1,830,59 cents. If you subtract option B, which is 1,823 rand 23 cents, there is a difference there of, let's subtract there, we find a difference of 7 rand 33 cents. So now option A will be the best option, because remember, with 7 rand 33 cents you can buy airtime, you can buy sweets, whatever you want. Let's move to, we have this question. Mr. Sitole purchases a car for 100,000. He will only be able to replace his car after 5 years. The value of the car depreciates at a rate of 25% per year for the next 5 years. Calculate the value of Mr. Sitole after 5 years. So now here, it's a bit different from what we've been doing. If a value depreciates, what happens to the formula? They say Mr. Sitole purchased a car for 100,000. He will only be able to replace his car after 5 years. The value of the car depreciates at a rate of 25% per year for the next 5 years. Calculate the value of Mr. Sitole's car after 5 years. Let's quickly do that. Let's see what we have first. We have 100,000, that's the value of the car. And then what do we have? This will be our P, and then our I, it's 25%. 25% will be the same as 0.25. And then what else do we have? We have N, which is 5, and then there's no compounding. So now in this case, they say it depreciates. So now our formula is going to change. If we're having a depreciation, that means it's decreasing. So our formula is going to be P is equals to 1 minus the interest to the power of N. Remember, it's decreasing in interest. So now it's going to be 100,000, 1 minus 0.25 to the power of 5. Let's see how much this car is going to be worth after 5 years. 100,000 bracket 1 minus 0.25, close your brackets, to the power of 5. And then the answer there, after 5 years, Tate will have to sell his car for 23,730 rand, 46875. To 2 decimal places is going to be 23730,47. I'm afraid, guys, that's all the time that we have for today. This was the last question for the day. I hope you understood. If you have any problem, you can ask your teachers to forward them to the learning facilitators to bring them to me so that I can see how I can help you. Thank you very much.